This weapon didn't just kill enemies. It broke formations, shattered morale, and helped Rome conquer half the known world. No gunpowder, no engines, just brutal design and terrifying efficiency. Section 1. Early, primitive phase. Spear, hasta. This looks simple, but it built Rome's earliest armies. The hasta was a long, thrusting spear, cheap to make, easy to use. That was the secret. Early Roman soldiers didn't need years of training. They just pushed forward and stabbed. But here's the scary part. In tight formations, dozens of spear points moved as one. Simple, deadly, and perfect for disciplined troops. This weapon turned farmers into soldiers, and soldiers into an army. Wooden shield, gladius, early form. This wasn't just protection, it was a moving wall. Early Roman shields were round and wooden, reinforced with leather and metal. Individually, nothing special. Together, terrifying. Soldiers locked shields side by side. Arrows bounced off, blades slid away. But the twist, the shield wasn't passive. Romans punched enemies with it, knocked them off balance, then stabbed. Defense and offense in one brutal tool. Bronze axe. This weapon wasn't elegant, it was personal. Before steel swords dominated, axes were common, heavy, crushing, bone-breaking. An axe didn't need a sharp edge to kill, just momentum. Against shields, helmets, bones, it smashed through everything. This was intimidation warfare, close range, no escape. Axes reminded enemies of one thing: Rome wasn't fighting fair.
Section 2. Standard, mass-used Roman weapons. Gladius, Roman short sword. This small sword conquered empires. The gladius was short, compact, built for stabbing, not slashing. That was the genius. In tight formations, long swords were useless, but the gladius? Quick thrust, step back, shield up. One stab to the stomach or neck, fight over. But here's the twist. It wasn't about skill, it was about discipline. Thousands of identical blades, used the same way, at the same time. This sword turned soldiers into a machine. Scutum, rectangular shield. This shield didn't just block attacks, it controlled the battlefield. The scutum was tall and curved. It covered nearly the entire body. Arrows hit it and stopped. Spears hit it and stuck. But that wasn't the scary part. Romans used the scutum to ram enemies, break formations, create openings. And when shields locked together, you get the famous tortoise formation, a walking fortress, almost impossible to stop. Enemies didn't fight soldiers, they fought a wall. Pugio, trigger spear. This weapon cheated. The pugio was thrown right before contact. It pierced shields, but the genius part, the metal shaft bent on impact. Now the shield was useless, too heavy, too awkward to drop in time. And suddenly, the enemy stood exposed. No shield, no defense, no chance. One throw, one mistake, formation destroyed. Pugio, dagger. This wasn't a backup weapon, it was a last sentence. The pugio was a short dagger, carried by almost every Roman soldier. When swords broke, when shields collapsed, when fights got too close, this came out. Quick, silent, brutal. It was also psychological. Enemies knew even disarming a Roman wasn't enough. The fight never ended. Helmet, galea. This protected the head, but terrified the enemy. Roman helmets were designed for impact warfare. Cheek guards, neck protection, narrow eye slits. They turned soldiers into faceless machines. You didn't see fear, you didn't see emotion, just metal and discipline. And when thousands marched together, helmets shining, that alone could break morale. Section 3. Elite Specialized Roman Weapons. Spatha, longsword. This sword marked Rome's evolution. The spatha was longer than the gladius, designed for cavalry. From horseback, stabbing wasn't enough. You needed reach, and this blade delivered it. It slashed, it stabbed, it hit enemies before they could respond. Here's why it mattered. Rome didn't just fight on foot anymore. The spatha later replaced the gladius entirely. Even medieval swords copied its design. A cavalry weapon that changed history. Composite bow. This wasn't a Roman invention, but Romans knew power when they saw it. The composite bow used wood, horn, and sinew. Small size, massive power, perfect for mounted troops and auxiliaries. Short draw, fast reload, deadly accuracy. But here's the twist. It required serious training. Only specialists used it, and when they did, enemies died before they ever reached Roman lines. Dolabra, military pickaxe. This built camps and killed people. The dolabra was a tool and a weapon, used to dig trenches, break stone, build fortifications. But in emergencies, it crushed armor and bones. Blades snapped, spears broke. The dolabra didn't care. It showed Roman thinking at its best. Every tool had a second purpose. Even construction gear could become deadly. Plumbata, weighted dart. This weapon fell from the sky. The plumbata was a lead-weighted dart, carried inside shields, thrown in volleys. Fast, unpredictable. Enemies couldn't block what they couldn't see. But the real danger, it caused chaos before the main clash. Shields raised, formations broke, panic spread. A psychological weapon disguised as a small dart.
Section 4. Psychological, fear-based weapons. Faux, Dacian curved blade. This weapon scared Rome enough to redesign armor. The faux was a long, curved blade, sharp on the inside. It hooked around shields, pulled them away, and struck heads and arms. Roman helmets weren't built for this, so Rome adapted, adding reinforced helmets and arm guards. That's how dangerous this blade was. When an enemy weapon forces Rome to change, you know it worked. Ball and chain, Monica-style weighted weapon. This wasn't common, and that made it worse. Some Roman units used weighted chain weapons, especially in brutal close combat. Unpredictable movement, hard to block, terrifying to face. One swing could break bones even through armor. The fear wasn't the hit, it was not knowing where it would land. Chaos weapon, pure intimidation. Fire weapons, incendiary pots. This wasn't about killing, it was about panic. Romans used fire-filled clay pots in sieges, thrown from walls or launched by engines. When they shattered, fire spread instantly. Smoke, screams, confusion. Fire didn't care about rank or armor. It turned organized armies into crowds, and crowds are easy to defeat. War trumpets, cornu and tuba. This weapon never touched the enemy. Roman war horns controlled movement and terrified opponents. Deep, echoing, relentless. Signals meant advance, retreat, flank. But enemies didn't know the commands. They just heard thousands of soldiers moving with mechanical precision. Sound became a weapon, and fear did the rest. Section 5. Engineering masterpieces. Ballista. This was a sniper rifle, 2,000 years early. The ballista used twisted ropes for power, not muscles, not luck. It fired massive bolts with deadly accuracy. Walls, shields, people, nothing was safe. But here's the twist. It wasn't random. Roman engineers calibrated distance, angle, and tension. Every shot was calculated. Ancient math, modern destruction. Scorpio, small artillery crossbow. This weapon hunted officers. The Scorpio was smaller than a ballista, faster, deadlier. Perfect for targeting leaders. One bolt could punch through armor from hundreds of feet away. And this is why it mattered. Kill the commander, the army collapses. Romans didn't just fight armies, they dismantled command structures. Siege tower, Heliopolis. This wasn't a weapon, it was a moving building. Siege towers rolled toward enemy walls, multiple floors, archers on top, soldiers inside, protected from arrows, protected from fire. And when it reached the wall, bridges dropped. Instant invasion. Imagine watching this approach slowly, day after day, knowing you couldn't stop it. That's psychological warfare, powered by engineering.
Section 6. Legacy Weapons. Roman Sword Design. Gladius to modern blades. This design never went extinct. The gladius proved something important. Short, controlled blades win close combat. That idea survived Rome. Medieval arming swords, modern combat knives, military bayonets, all follow the same logic: compact, strong, fast. Rome didn't just win battles, it defined how blades are built. Shield wall tactics. This tactic is still taught. Roman shield formations weren't just ancient tricks, they inspired medieval armies, riot police formations, modern crowd control tactics, interlocking defense, controlled movement, group over individual. Rome understood something early: discipline beats strength. That lesson never changed. Military engineering doctrine. This was Rome's real superweapon. Roads, forts, camps built overnight. Every Roman army traveled with engineers. That idea became modern military logistics. If you can move faster, build faster, and supply faster, you win. Not with the sharpest blade, but with the smartest system. Rome didn't conquer the world with one weapon, it did it with ideas. And some of those ideas are still marching today.